Good morning, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, and it is the view from the Middle East today. So great to see. I've got Mitch, Al-Walid and Stu Penman with us. How are you doing, lads?
Good, thanks.
All right, Steve.
Great.
Yeah, good to see you. Mitch, it just feels like 5 minutes since we put the show to bed last night. But yeah, great to see you. Al-Walid, let's start with you, mate, because it's been a couple of weeks since we spoke. Let's first ask you, how is the Supporters Association going?
Actually, it's great. We reach now about more than 200, and a lot of progress every week. I'm starting to doing advertising everywhere, and we get offers. We get more offers because everyone now care for more for Newcastle, and they know that Newcastle have a great future soon. Now I am it's nice to before, when we start, we were very hard to look for a place or someone to host you, and because we have a lot of conditions, but lately we have get great offer from Sauvière Cafe. Actually, it's a French style, but they really care about Premier League and for Newcastle as well, and they are we agree on a lot of stuff and a lot of prizes, ticket to Newcastle games, and a lot of valuable stuff. Also priority for this is one of the conditions. Sometimes I was struggling before, is the priority of game, because some games always played in the same times. So we want a cafe guarantee or place guarantee that Newcastle will be the priority, and we have this one in Cafe Sauvière. And actually I met lads actually from Newcastle previously here in Riyadh, and they are happy to come, and it's very nice that they recognize you, and sometimes they call me Saudi Gaza, because it's very hard to say Al-Walid, so they said Saudi Gaza. So this is really nice, and I'm still trying to improving everything regarding my channel, regarding the YouTube channel, and regarding the association, and also we are working now on discounts for the membership of the Saudi supporter.
Great stuff, mate. You've made some great inroads there, and it is fantastic. And I think, Al-Walid, what we'll do on this show is somebody suggested, I can't remember who it was, somebody in the chat said, what we need is to start counting how many Newcastle tops you see in Saudi. So it's a bit unfair on you at this moment in time, but next week when we come on, how many Saudi tops have you seen during the week? Okay.
Actually, okay, it's okay, but the thing is, it's like maybe sometimes is let's not talk about Newcastle. Let's talk about any team.
Yeah.
Let's say Manchester City. Even Manchester City, there is supporter, but it doesn't mean that he wear the top. Because usually we wear our national wear. So this is gonna be not there is a lot to support Newcastle, but it doesn't have to wear the top. You're
saying that the viewer has given you a hard task.
Yeah. But I will try to do this for him. But it's I just want to say that they support Newcastle, but they should. We are not usually wear jerseys when we go out in public. But usually when playing football games, they wear the jerseys usually, not when they go out.
Okay, good stuff. As always, when we do this show, we do have a special feature. So today's NUFC Matters big question, Mitch, is very simple. Lascelles back in the team today, yes or no?
Based on physicality, yes.
Okay.
Simple answer.
It's as simple as that, because Burnley have got a lot of big lads and they like to play the aerial game.
Well, as we've discussed before as well, he's part of this sort of leadership group that Howe has within the dressing room. And so it would surprise us not to see him brought back in.
Okay, Al-Walid, same question to you. Jamal Lascelles, of course, was suspended after hitting 5 yellow cards in the opening fixtures for Newcastle this season. Would you bring him back in today, or would you go for a different partnership in the middle?
Jamal, he's a great defender. For me, I know he have some criticism, but I would like to start with him. But doesn't mean he have to continue the whole 90 minutes. Because when Shar, for example, Shar, for example, he did fatal mistake also. But we are lucky we didn't have a goal, concede a goal in last minutes. And not just Jamal make mistakes, but Jamal, I think he usually in the second half, sometimes I don't know, his focus collapse. I don't know what happened with him. So I prefer to start with Jamal, Lascelles, and Fernandez, and maybe put Shar at last 30 minutes at least for the stamina and to activate the defense line more.
Okay, Stu, I presume you are going to be thinking along the same kind of lines as Mitch, are you?
Yeah, I think the old adage, you've got to win the battles before you win the war. So I suspect he'll go try and match him with physicality but I think it'll be Shaw that gets dropped and he'll play Fernandez alongside Lascelles, which is a partnership that was quite successful last season for some parts. So I think that'll be the back pairing. So yeah, I think he'll put Lascelles back in, and as we've just discussed there, he's a blue chip player, isn't he, in the squad, in the dressing room. So it seems to be like there's a group of untouchables, and then the rest are trying to aspire to get there. So I believe that Lascelles and Fernandez will be the back two to the centre pairing.
Okay. Lewis, Mitch, did quite well the other night. I mean, we haven't really seen anything of him for 12 months. I mean, is that again something which, we're hoping will remain the same today?
Well, for me, he didn't do much wrong. And in fact, I think he got the balls that I think Richie may not have, just because of his additional pace. And I think I think also based on the fact that I saw what he did against Italy for Northern Ireland, he didn't put a foot wrong, really. And so it would be harsh, I think, to drop him based on the performances that we've seen out of him. Again, it depends on how wants in the team and why. But for me, I think it would be damaging to his morale a little bit, I would have thought, if you're going to drop him on the basis of that. Because what did he do wrong? Well, not a lot.
Okay, I mean, Lewis, again, somebody who came in and we thought he was going to hit the ground running. He was going to be a big player for us, but didn't quite do it under Steve Bruce. But yeah, it was only Norwich on Tuesday, but he came back in and gave a good performance.
Actually, Steve Bruce, I think he was asking too much from Jamal Lewis and blaming everybody for his mistakes. Jamal Lewis did the great last game, and I watched his game against Italy in the international. He did very great, and even Joe Linton. We just talked with Christopher in our show. We wonder what was Steve Bruce doing. We see Joe Linton become another player in a matter of a few days. So it's like all players should be forgiven and given another chance under Eddie Howe.
Yeah, Stu, it's good to see almost people being given a clean slate with a new gaffer. Stu?
Yeah. Well, I think he has to. He's got to come in with a clean slate. And regarding Lewis, possession's 9/10 of the law. And I don't think he did anything wrong to merit being dropped. I think, if anything, he aided his case with a solid performance. And because we were backs to the wall due to being down to 10 men for so long, that he showed that he can defend as well. And I believe today he'll have an opportunity to show his attacking prowess as well, because he has got a good cross. He showed that with, I think it was Everton last season. He put a really good ball in for Wilson. So I think the two fullbacks, Manquillo and Lewis, both thoroughly deserved their places in the team for today. And hopefully, and I stress hopefully, they're fit enough, because they haven't played much, and that must have had them all knackered by the end of the 90+ minutes on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Lewis has to stay in. I agree with most of you. I think, Fernandez hopefully will start. I think Shaw will get the bullet, and I think Lascelles will come in, and I think we'll have Lewis at left back, and I think Manquillo possibly a right back. I think a flat back four again, and just battling, combating that height with height, I think is going to be crucial. Mitch, ESM again flattered to deceive again the other night. I mean, our forward players aren't really, they don't seem to be hitting the gas as much as our midfield and our back forward times. I think ASM's a bit of a luxury player. We know that. He does excite you, but a couple of times really frustrated me. He could have drawn the ball back to Joe Willock, who could have had a shot on target. And Callum Wilson, I mean, all forwards go through a bit of a drop in form, and got to hope that they really turn up today.
I think I'd add Willock into that as well. I think we need to see a little bit more from Willock too. I mean, I think he did put some hard work in the other night, but he seems to have not quite hit the heights what he did when he was here on loan. ESM, yeah, he's exciting. I love seeing him in the team, but it did seem in points on Tuesday like we were carrying him a little, and it's not a time for that. So it's a big decision about whether to keep him in or not, because the frustrating thing is we all love players like that on Tyneside, and we all know he's capable of pulling something ridiculous out with a bag. However, last season, where he made one of his biggest impacts, funny enough, was down at Burnley when he came on off the bench into the last 20 minutes when they got tired, and he made a massive contribution with a goal and an assist and totally turned the game. So I wouldn't be unhappy to see him on the bench because we know what he can do. And maybe it is time to mix it up and again go with somebody who's maybe is a bit more organised and has a bit more physicality to cope with the Burnley side.
Yeah, okay. ASM has frustrated a little bit, Al Walid. Certainly frustrated me. What about you?
It's really weird, because sometimes when you see someone improve, it's very hard to accept that he becoming drop, have some drop in his level. I noticed last days of Steve Bruce, Saint-Maximin become a little bit better regarding working with other players. I noticed him back then pass the ball quickly, not hold it very much, become more like team player. But when Graham Jones came and not focus on Saint-Maximin, become worse, much more worse. But now I think when Brentford game and last game, he just have short in number, and all the pressure on Saint-Maximin. I don't think he's and Joelinton have great chemistry in a play. I noticed this because sometimes I saw, for example, Joelinton in good position, but Saint-Maximin doesn't feel that he passed. I know, and this must change from Saint-Maximin. And he passed the ball when he feel he can't do it. Too late sometimes he passing the ball, and this is need maybe some notice or some coaching and re-coaching for instruction from the coach. And I think this could be changed, and we shouldn't blame him last game, because I think the idea of putting Fraser on the right side, we play 4 and we put Fraser just to help Saint-Maximin to get more free, because all we should put this in our consideration, and we will gonna see this today. All the defenders focus on Saint-Maximin because they know he's the key. So I think this is why he play Fraser on the right side to get some balance between the wingers. But the red card ruined this for us. Hopefully today, we'll see something more improvement.
Okay, Stu, ASM, is he a luxury we can't afford in a relegation battle?
He's a luxury, but he's a luxury worth persevering, in my opinion. Today's game is going to be an attritional game, isn't it? It's not going to be one for the purists. And although we need to match their physicality when they're attacking, we've got to be careful of not getting drawn into match them all over the park physically, because they're tried and tested at it, and they'll beat us if that's what we're trying to do, and try and change our game too much for theirs, where we need something different. And even if we go back to when we were all younger and playing football ourselves, there was certain teams we liked playing against. There was certain grounds you liked visiting, away games and stuff. And Saint-Maximin's got a good record against Burnley, and I think they'll fear him more. And what Alois just said there, that they'll might double up on him and things like that. That's good. That'll create space for our new, fitter, improved squad. You know, for the likes of Willicks or Fraser's or Joe Linton, to get up and support Wilson if he is double marking. It's releasing the ball, but he can create that magic. And if we look back to how he finished the season last year, you know, and how many points he's actually won us. Of course, he wasn't bought and he's not built or designed to be tracing and tracking back and winning tackles. You know, if we remember the game for Brighton at home last season when he tried to do that and he cost us the early penalty. You know, get him up the front where he can do damage and feed him the ball. And I've seen someone put in the comments there, like, tell him he's the player that can win the game. That's exactly how I would be doing that with him. I'd have my arm around him in the dressing room, bigging him up, telling him this is his day. And I've just backed him to score first goal. So I expect him to play.
Yeah, I think Yano is right. He says he thinks Eddie Howe is sensibly keeping everyone on side until he has genuine alternatives after recruitment, which is, yeah. I mean, he's just good man management. That's a sign of a good manager when you know you can put your arms around somebody and give them a hug if they need one, or give them a kick up the backside if they need one. It's finding that, finding the right way to deal with each of your players. So no doubt about that. Interesting thing that broke in the Chronicle this week, Mitch, was Callum Wilson's outburst.
But what it's done, it's created. Sorry, Steve. It's created genuine competition now.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, no, it has. There's no doubt about that. Mitch, the Callum Wilson line about the training really amused me. I mean, I think we all knew.
Sorry, it's froze.
I think we all know that things weren't going right at the start of the season, Mitch. The fitness is what Callum Wilson was saying. He didn't feel we were fit when we went into that West Ham game at the start of the season.
Yeah, quite revealing. And mainly couldn't, if he'd come out and said that we were physically fit and going into everything, I think everybody would have laughed their socks off. I don't think you could say anything else really. But I mean, when we got in Stu, one of his contacts come in with the metrics from some of the training that they were at 60% of where they should have been for that time of the season. I mean, that just says it all. And you could see that looking at the players on the pitch, but also if you look at the stats, when we were conceding the goals, we were conceding most goals. Something like 70% of our goals were being conceded in the last 30 minutes of games. And that's telling. That's telling on fitness and concentration and all of that. And so I'm actually quite grateful for a bit of honesty from one of the players to say, actually, you know what, we didn't feel fit either. And I think that just says everything about the previous regime.
Of course it does, yeah. Al-Walid, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. As Dr. Neil Mitch say it, we notice, it doesn't need much information to know. Just watch some games and you will get this minutes 70. We lose effort. We concede a lot of goals, and not just that. Severus, have maybe changed someone or no change at all. No substitution, and this is make it worse. And he insists the player play until last minute, and he's very exhausted. And I remember see it by my own eyes. I remember staff. He was dragging his foot to barely stand, and he continued playing with him. And I was shocked back then why he not even make the substitution to refresh. It was really. I wish if I went to ask Steve Bruce this question.
In boxing, Stu, fitness wins fights. It's no different in football, is it? And there's no excuse for footballers who are getting 50, 60, 70 grand a week not being able to run around a football pitch.
Yeah, totally. And I think the key word in that question there was excuse. And they are professional footballers. They should be asking for more or actually doing more, training themselves. It's not just waiting for Steve Bruce. It's very easy to pass the buck and point the finger of blame, but they should have pride in their own performances as well. But it's gone. It looks like they've moved off Easy Street and the new managers come in and everyone's trying to impress them, which is good. And we've seen the improvement in players. And as I said there, but then it got cut a bit. It's created a lot of competition now, with the Frasers, the Miggies, the Joe Lintons, the Willicks. There's like 4 or 5 players there going for 2 positions. And they'll know that because Eddie Howe is a bit of a taskmaster. All right, he's smiling, but he's a smiling assassin. And at the same time, I think you were at the game, but for those watching, there was a caption just before Mickey come on, and he was getting a cuddle like on his face there of Eddie Howe. Little things like that make a big difference. And if you're running through the proverbial brick wall for your manager, trying to impress him, and they'll know that they've had it too easy at Newcastle. And contrary to what certain pundits say, the majority of nearly all the players loves living in Newcastle, and they don't want to uproot the families. So they will be trying to make sure that their position in the squad is certain when the January window opens, or especially come the end of the season as well, when everyone's predicting wholesale changes. So now's the time to impress Eddie Howe, and it's good to see. I mean, fortune hasn't favoured us the last couple of games with decisions and rash decisions and referees' decisions, but I think it's quite clear that the fitness levels have increased quite dramatically, and it's like they've had a mini pre-season, isn't it, over the last few weeks? And the players, although they've been tired with it, that's even, I think Shelby made a comment that he was in bed by 8 o'clock most nights in the first week. You know, they've grasped the nettle and think, right, we're off here. We want to be stuck. We want to get stuck in. I want to play. And it looks like they're actually enjoying the performance and enjoying playing again. So that would tell me that they're enjoying training and enjoying being part of the club. Because if you look how they fought to the very end on Tuesday night, you know, I think if that had been at the start of the season, we would have got beat 3-4, maybe even 5-0. You know, the game would have been gone. That the desire wouldn't have been there, the effort wouldn't have been there. But every last man that remained on that pitch gave 100%, and you know, and it was brilliant to see. You know, I think that galvanised the crowd from what I could hear.
Yeah, no, it certainly did. The crowd were in fine form, and I'm sure there will be again today. From our perspective, it's a must, as I say, on and off the pitch. We've got to be united. And just a quick point to the statement that's been released by War Flags today. They've just put that out in a matter of minutes, and it says, in recent years, we put together displays during Pride Month to show our support for and solidarity with LGBTQ plus fans of our club. Over the past week, we've seen the club take part in the Rainbow Laces campaign, and before that, we were glad to see them voice their support for Josh Cavallo. Today's display of old and new flags, put together with the support of United with Pride, is a message of support to the club for their participation in these campaigns, a statement of solidarity with Josh and any other players who may be afraid to be their true selves, and a message to all our LGBTQ plus fans that we will all do our part to ensure St. James's Park is a safe and welcoming place for everyone. Thanks to Fans for Diversity for providing funding. We are grateful for their support and back their campaign to empower fans to enjoy our matches free of prejudice. So that is, of course, something that NUFC Matters supports, and look forward to seeing, as always, War Flags display in the ground before kickoff. Let's talk a little bit about Eddie Howe's press conference yesterday. And obviously, Christmas season's upon us, but the sillier season is January transfer window, which, of course, we are hoping that we're going to be quite active in. Eddie really tended to put a little bit of a dampener on this yesterday. You know, I think just pulling in people's expectations and asking the press, I guess, to help him a little bit on this, because we're getting linked with everybody and anybody. And, you know, some of the names that have been mentioned are absolutely ludicrous. And I think the key phrase he gave yesterday was that he could sit here and give a whole host of numbers, but it's absolutely pointless because things change on a daily basis. So all your plans and preparation can go out of the window in a matter of minutes. He did say the processes are happening above me to prepare for January. With the number of games we have, my immediate focus is on the team, the players we have, and trying to maximise their abilities. So, yeah, I think we've got to be cute, Mitch, haven't we? We spoke about it before on the show. We spoke about it on the Amigos. We've got to be really cute in this transfer window, and we've just got to hope that the right players become available, and we can persuade some of them to come to Newcastle and join the battle.
What I would like to see is, at least this time, we're not going to be constrained by artificial barriers of things like age that if there's the right player becomes available at the right price at the right time, that we're going to be flexible enough to change the approach to make that approach to that player and hopefully make it happen. I think that's very much not what happened in the Mike Ashley. Rondon being one of the prime examples. Signing him permanently would have been an absolute cinch and something that we probably needed somewhere down the line. And it didn't happen because of this odd idea that he had about age. And in the long run, it's ironic that 10 years of this approach has left me in a ridiculous position from a financial fair play point of view, that we could go out in January and spend a ridiculous amount of money. A lot of the press are taking a very, I think it would be generous to say it was a scattergun approach to transfers and naming names and how many numbers. And so it's almost that just becomes noise. We've just got to let it happen. I'm interested to see talks gone quiet yet again on director of football / CEO positions. So I'm wondering if, and I think we touched on this last night, that Eddie Howe may have a plan that they're now just bought into. We're going with a Howe plan from here, and we'll run with what we've got until the end of the season, and then take a step back about and see where we are. But I think also, you know, if we are using the same scouting network, perhaps this time we're going to get a chance to actually go after player number 1, not player number 4 or 5 on the list of possibles, because that seemed to be what we always ended up with. And in terms of money, I think we've got to be flexible. If the right player suddenly becomes available, even if it's right at the death of the transfer window, if there's a player available and we've got the money, we should make it happen. I think this is going to be an interesting window. I think finances in football are starting to bite again now at all levels. We'll look what's happening in the Championship. We'll look at what's happening with the Spurs' debt going up to 702 million. Can't see them lashing the checkbook out in January. And I can't see many doing it, but I can see many wanting a bit of coin. And that's where the help comes in. It doesn't help us if the press are writing, oh, they've got a £400 million war chest to spend, and all the little eyes light up in all of the CEOs' offices in the Premiership clubs around the country, because for all they've said they don't want to do business with, if we wave our checkbook underneath their nose, they'll do the business. The money's going to talk, and that make no mistake about that. And that's where we probably need a little bit of help. Don't suggest in the press that fans are expecting, you know, marquee signings, because we're not. We're realistic about the position we're in. We'd probably rather have 5 really solid citizens who make a massive difference to our squad than 2 huge names who aren't actually going to be in the fight when push comes to shove and crunch time appears.
Yeah, it is silly season, I believe. We will be linked with a lot of players, you know, and some of them getting linked, you know, are, you know, Real Madrid players, Barcelona players. You know, but Eddie Howe's certainly trying to calm the fans' expectations, isn't he?
No, actually, about I don't think the players need to be persuaded to come to Newcastle. Newcastle now, I think, will be #1 destination for all the players in the world, and I'm not just saying that because it's really opportunity for them to have. They just need the right appropriate contract, and I'm sure, when they will have contract, I think they will get the best. For any best contract comparing to other clubs. Also, regarding Eddie Howe, he's relaxed. He's a smart answer in the conference room. He doesn't paranoid, because deeply inside him, he know there is a transfer market coming in few days, and he know he have a good or great budget. He can spend on the position he needs. But he tried to be diplomatic. He doesn't want to depress the player. The players still have, he know that in a few games he have only these players, so he need to get the best out of them by supporting them. And if he said something about transfer window or talking much about player or who he can get, this will affect negatively on the players we have now. So I think this is just he become like more diplomatic, and he want to get the best of the players. And deeply he's not worried, because he know that he will have good market comparing to other to 19 club.
Stu, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, you know, we are going to be linked with everybody and anybody. It's what the media do to make a living.
Well, of course, I mean, it's been crazy, hasn't it? There was the headline about Mbappe again, and you know, it just all reared the ugly heads. But I'm in line with what Mitch was saying. I don't think a marquee signing will happen in January as much as the PIF would like to make a statement. You know, this is us. But I think it would have a detrimental effect on the team and our chances of survival. You know, if you think of who would come or who we could actually attract in the position that we're in, to be a marquee signing, you've got people like Gareth Bale. You know, the money paying for his wages wouldn't be an issue to the owners. But imagine you're sitting in the change room, you're busting a gut, and you've got someone playing golf 3 or 4 times a week and not putting it in, and then downs tools on the pitch, and he's on 10, 20 times more per week than you. You know, that to me is not what we need now. I think we need 3, not even too much, 3 or 4 quality additions who are an improvement of the squad we've got. I've got a bit Premiership now, and I think this is why Eddie Howe did his press conference yesterday, and you can't not be impressed with how he conducts himself, you know, and he's the polar opposite of what the previous manager was. You know, he's polite the way in his mannerisms and his answers. He's professional, but he's protective. Old peas there. And he was protective of the players. He's not going to sit around and say, yeah, I can't wait for January. We've got 6 players lined up and I want to get rid of these ones I've got here are no good. They're damaging my reputation. He's going to fan the flame, well, not fan the flames. He's going to douse the flames, isn't he? And keep the tight-knit squad that he seems to have created very quickly. Keep them all thinking they've got a chance of staying together. And the onus is on them. You know, who's to say if they win the next 3, 4, 5 games, which is unlikely, but if that was to happen, you know, then would all of a sudden the transfer budget they had to put aside in January would reduce because there wouldn't be as much of a need for it. And that would then mean that's when you can attack the summer. But I believe if things continue in the same vein, then January the checkbook will come out and we will have to pay over the odds, but so does every other team in January. You know, and I think we will be able to attract players. There's no reason, not any player, as Al Walid suggests, but I think there's a certain sensible players we've been linked with. I've just forgot his name now. He played for England, the right back at Atletico Madrid. He's a northern lad.
Trippier.
I can't see him not one. Yeah, Trippier. That's it, Trippier. I can see him happily wanting to come back up to the north of England and get himself in the Premier League, get himself in the England manager's eye again. And why not? You know, there's not many teams that, for example, Liverpool won't chase after him. I don't think Man City want him. But he needs to be playing every week. He needs to be high profile to have any chance of getting in it. Chelsea aren't going to. So the top teams won't take him. And the rest, as Mitch quite rightly alluded to earlier, most of them are struggling financially. So we're actually in a better position than what the press would like us to believe. You know, if a player wants to go and the agent wants him to go, then why not? We'll just get the right players, and this is where we trust Eddie Howe. He'll know exactly what he needs to improve the team.
Lingard's getting a mention as well, virtually every other day. I think that's another potential one. Again, I think he would love to come. I mean, I think it'll be a clear decision between one club or another, but you know, at least we're in the mix now because we can afford to pay his wages. So let's see what happens. A couple of new sponsors have joined us this week. Big thank you to them. We'll go through the list as usual. Thanks to Spider VPN for all the internet security. Google Spider VPN, they come up at the top of the Google search list. And they are the boys to trust for protecting everything on your computer. Thanks to skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website www.skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to L&G Family Funeral Directors 0191 389 7245. And welcome to the Garden of Healing Dispensary CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.gohd.com. A big shout out to him because he's sponsored a few of my events over the years when he used to be idealer. But great guy, Jacob. Thanks for coming on board for this month, mate. And good luck with the launch of your new business. And old sponsor returns as well. Arcot Interiors. Big shout out to Chris Collins. It was nice to see you at the Peter Beardsley event. So they are based on Heaton Road, and they are luxury kitchen and design services at affordable prices. So get yourself up to Heaton Road to see the guys. And as always, qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. Big shout out to John, NUFCmatters.com. He runs the website as well. Jab Signature, jabsignature.co.uk, the guys who make our flyers. If you're a first-time visitor to the channel, subscribe by hitting Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and that's it. You can subscribe for free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up to like the video, click share to share to your social media, and drop into the comments box to make a comment or to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. We're also available on iTunes and Spotify. Thank you to everybody who got a Spotify list for what they've listened to over the last 12 months. And I've had a couple of these already, people saying their most listened to podcast is NUFC Matters. So thank you very much for sending that over. We're available on all podcast providers. So if you're out and about, you can still listen to us, just can't see us. Events coming up. Peter Beardsley tickets are still available on Groupon and Voucher. We'll make a nice Christmas gift for somebody. January the 30th at the Tyne Theatre. Sadly, the Bobix event has been cancelled. I think due to the COVID rise. I think there's a little bit of that, but also ticket sales haven't been great. It's only a small venue, but we don't really want to go and play to a small crowd. So I think we could rearrange that for next year. And big thanks for Bobix for trying to do something for the food bank. Anyway, NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk. That is the match day bucket. You can make a virtual deposit there. Today, of course, if you're going to the match, you can go and drop something off food or drop in money into the buckets, the numerous buckets around St. James's Park today. As I said, NUFCmatters.com for the website. Your Christmas jumpers are now available. Pop onto the website and see what you fancy. And I will be at the Dog and Parrot at 1 o'clock today and at 6 o'clock tonight with Supermac looking ahead and looking back on today's proverbial 6-pointer. And don't forget, the Backpage shop has got quite a few things in for you to buy for Christmas as well, if you are a black and white persuasion or your other half is. And there's also got a few of my books in there: Every Boy's Dream, the Pavel Cerncheck book, and the NME book. So if you want to buy somebody a book for Christmas, get yourself in there. The other events I've got coming up until next year: Mick Mahoney Super Goalie, Friday, January the 14th at the Tyneside Irish Centre, and an evening with Steve Watson on the 28th of January. Tickets for both those are from newcastlelegends.com, and just click the shop button. Okay, lads, just a little change in tact before we start looking ahead again to today's game. And Monday, December the 6th, sees the FA Cup draw. So after the game between Boreham Wood and St Albans City on ITV4, there will be a cup draw, and Newcastle United are going at the hat. Sadly, Gateshead won't be in the cup draw. They lost last night in that second round game with Alan Shearer in the stands watching against Charlton. But that's a hell of a run for them. They'll have made some good money for the club, and they got further than Sunderland in the cup, the FA Cup this year. But yeah, the FA Cup draw, lads, Monday. How do you see it going? Are you looking for a big team? Are you looking for a small team? Are you not too fussed because we've got the priority of staying in the league, Mitch?
It's that time of year when we can enjoy playing with our balls in a velvet bag. I don't care. You get who you get. At the end of the day, that's the point of a cup draw. It's the whole point of the cup draw, and we can sit and I know people who used to do their own, and like in some way that's going to influence the draw on the day. The only thing I ever think has influenced the draw on the day is that some of the balls are kept in the freezer before they're put into the bag, but that maybe is me being a cynical old so-and-so. But yeah, you get who you get, and you progress as you progress. That's the nature of cup football. It's why we love it. We've got this deep affinity to the FA Cup as a club and as a fan base. I still live on all sorts of stories from my grandfather, as you hear my dad talking about on the Retro Show. And so for me, bring it on. I will be looking at it and looking out for it. Of course I will. I always want to know what number we are. We're always somewhere between 26 and 30, I think, if off the top of my head. I think we're 29 this year. And so, not that I've been paying attention to it, obviously. So yeah, bring it on. I love it. But I don't mind who we get, because that's the whole nature of cup football. I do like. I would love to see we for once get an easier tie in the first couple of, in the third and fourth round, just to ease way into it, given what else is going on at the moment. And then once it gets to January, let's see what happens from there.
Al-Walid, is a cup run important for Newcastle? Are you one of these people who would rather see us out of the cup because we've got to stay in the Premier League? Or are you one of those who would say you need to be winning games? So if you're winning FA Cup games, then it bodes well, because getting into the winning habit is what you want as a football team.
It's depends situation. For me, I love FA Cup personally, but for the club, I think it's important for many reasons. First of all, I'm sure Eddie Howe, he have like second plan or maybe different plans. It's dangerous for him to practice it in the Premier League, but he could do it freely in the FA Cup. I'm sure he have some changes. He want to try some things, but it's dangerous to do it in Premier League, as now we have struggling in relegation battle. So he can do it in FA Cup. Besides, it's good to make the other players or not just focus, because sometimes if you focus one thing, this is difficult for you. Having something different than a relegation battle in the player's mind, like another competition, change really the mood and the routine of the players, and decrease the pressure for them. Also, they can play freely also as well. They will not afraid like Kieran Clark, what he did, because he was very frustrated from losing. He can play freely on the FA Cup. So this will show more of what he can really, what the players can really show to the new coach.
Okay, Stu, FA Cup. Do you want a cup run this year?
I want a cup run every year. That's why we support them, isn't it? I agree with Al-Walid. It's great to give the squad players a run out. It keeps them fresh. And I also agree with Mitch. It would be nice not to start with like an Arsenal away or a Chelsea away like we've had recently. I'd take the winner of that Boreham Wood game that you were talking about there. Well, take them at home for the first round. And then, get another lower division team. And it's something that we talk about on the retro shows. It seems like the Prestons and Northamptons, and it's their cup final. And it creates a special atmosphere, and it's the cup has lost some of that with it's nostalgic, isn't it? But with the way the Premier League's money machines just seem to trample over everything else. I would love us to win a cup, and I think if you ask any Newcastle supporter, do you want to see Newcastle win a trophy? Obviously, the answer is yes. I think I would say 90% of the people would say I'd love to see us win something at Wembley. And that's not the league, that's the cup. And unless we take it seriously, that'll never happen. So I want us to have a cup run, but not to the detriment of where we end up playing too many top players, because only one team's going to win the cup. And if we're realistic, it's not going to be Newcastle this season. But you've got to be in it to win it. And if we can get to the latter rounds, and some of these bigger teams at the moment have more European games to play, and we've added to this team. There's a possibility, but yes, I want us to have a cup run, and the best way to do that is have what would be seen as or deemed as an easier draw for the first couple of rounds. That gets the crowd going, that gets the town excited again, and who knows? Come round 5 quarterfinals, you never know. We've done it before, and for sure we'll do it again.
Paddy, yes, Mick is okay. Slow recovery on this, I'm afraid, though. We're not going to put any pressure on him to come back onto the platform. He needs time to recover, and hopefully he is doing that. But yes, I am still in touch with him, and he knows all the the best wishes we've been sending. That they are much appreciated. So thank you for asking. Burnley at home today, then. Newcastle host the Clarets at St James's Park this afternoon. It's a non-televised game. It's a 3 o'clock start. There were some remaining tickets available last night, but I'm sure they will be snapped up. So a 52,000 capacity crowd is expected today. This is actually Eddie Howe's 11th meeting with a side that he actually managed a decade ago. Not a lucky team for Eddie Howe, it's got to be said. And you want to catch up with the three amigos last night, you'll see what Toon Stato had to say and Toon Tipster. This is going to be Burnley's second visit to Newcastle this season, following their penalty shootout success in the League Cup that ended 0-0, of course, after 90 minutes. As for players' availability, well, Kieran Clark is suspended after being sent off against Norwich the other night. However, Jamal Lascelles and Matt Ritchie are both available after completing their one-match bans. The man who is clearly one of the most unluckiest players in our squad, Paul Dummett, still remains unavailable. What the club are diagnosing or calling a persistent calf strain. As I mentioned earlier, of course, we will be at the Dog and Parrot today at 1 o'clock and at 6 o'clock, myself and Supermax. So there's your pre-match entertainment. As for Burnley, Tarkowski and Ashley Westwood will both be available today after serving one-match bans. Phil Bardsley, he will return, I'm sure. And Ashley Barnes, however, who's a bit of a scourge of Newcastle United when we play Burnley, he's out due to injury, which is a bit of a blessing for us. Dale Stevens is also out. He's recovering from COVID. Burnley have been on a bit of a run. They extended their unbeaten Premier League record to 5 games the other night. They drew 0-0 at Wolves. Not an epic. I fast-forwarded through that on Match of the Day. And only one of those 5 games ended in 3 points for Sean Dyche. So getting a lot of draws, but not a lot of wins. The good news, is it good news? Because sometimes these records are there to be broken. They're winless on the road this season, losing at Everton, Liverpool, Man City, and getting draws at Leicester, Southampton, and Wolves. We've already discussed what we hope to happen with the team. Mitch, this is a proverbial 6-pointer. Lose this, and I really don't see where we'll go. We've got to dig up something special in the second half of the season because December's going to be a night. The rest of December's a nightmare.
Yeah, 3 points here to get away on a little bit of a roll and a bit of momentum as well. We need that going into the rest of this December. I think we'll get that. I think we've discussed team matters, but I want to correct something. I saw something in the chat about Jones having a beef with Fernandes. Fernandes has been missing for non-footballing reasons, and the club have been supportive of that, is what I understand. And that there's no beef, there's no issues. Fernandes has been missing from the squad for what you would describe as non-footballing reasons, and I think it was epic to see him come off the bench and play the way he did the other night, given everything that's going on. And therefore, I think I look forward to hopefully seeing him in the team today as well, because he just looked like a class apart. And so it's that kind of foundation, but also that sort of, there's a bit of feel good in there, and I bet the squad are supportive of that and are happy to see him back in as well. This unit seems to have got tighter. This unit seems to have been they've been pulled together a bit since Howe's come in, and I think we can use that today as well. And one thing for sure, Burnley will come and they'll not roll over. They'll not just go tickle Watomi, there's 3 points. We're going to have to fight equally as hard as them to get the victory. But I think, like Stu said right at the start of the show, you win the battles to win the war, and there's lots of little battles to be won all over the pitch. And I fancy us to win every single bloody one of them. If we play the way we did for 80 minutes with 10 men at every home game for the rest of this season, nobody, and I mean nobody, will look forward to coming to St James's Park. It's as simple as that. And that's what we've got to demonstrate today, is we can do it again and again.
Alwaleed, it's a must-win. You'll be sitting with fellow supporters, of course, out in Saudi. What's your views on this game today? It's a must-win, isn't it?
It's a must-win, and I think it's more important than the coming one in December. Maybe this game and Leicester City, because I believe Leicester, it's not that great team at the moment, not like a couple of seasons ago. So these two games, we want to get at least 4 points from them before going to Liverpool and Manchester clash, and both Manchester. So and I like what Eddie Howe says, that he should focus day by day. So one game at a time. Today, it's I think the first game for Eddie Howe. Hopefully, he will be comfortable manage it, because as we see, first game get COVID, second game catch London in last second, and last game against Norwich, red card incident in first minutes. So he didn't run the game comfortably yet. So hopefully today is the day, and we celebrate together the 3 points, first 3 points.
Fingers crossed. Stu, huge game, mate. 12-pointer, really not a 6-pointer.
It's one of those, yeah, I mean, the old sayings, you know, you don't get relegated in December, but we could become cut off. And the knock-on effect it'll have on signing players that we've just been talking about, you know, if we're too far adrift. So I believe we will win. I believe we have to win. And the players, the unity that's being shown, there's two players that have been probably, in most cases, justly deserved of the criticism. And this is something I had not a spat, but a dispute with someone on Twitter this week about Kieran Clark. He got sent off. You know, he didn't do well. You know, he made an error. He got sent off, and that was it. But I think our support has become accustomed to complaining, to finding a scapegoat, and it's going to take not a long time. It's going to take a bit of time to turn things around and everyone think positive again. The team have shown if you stick together, they can achieve better things. And they stuck together during the week, and they didn't get beat when we know they would have got beat 2 months ago at the end of last season. So it's how you criticise people. Now, Joe Linton, I'm still not convinced, and I know it, and I've seen all this. Oh, he's been man of the match, this game, that game. Maybe he's exceeded his expectations of what we had for him. And that's because his expectations on the ball were set really low. We've discussed many times it wasn't his fault about the £40 million, which to me still needs investigating, of why they were so insistent on buying him. But he's still got errors in him, but he's trying now. And for that, I take my hat off to him. I've seen him put effort in. And on Tuesday night, the last 20 minutes, he was outstanding. He was throwing himself into challenges. He was willing players. He was actually dictating players on where to go, you know, orchestrating. And he was... that's the sort of performance I want to see from every player. What he did in the last 20-30 minutes of that Norwich game. Shelvey, he's an enigma. It frustrates the hell out of me. Ever since Steve McLaren signs him, he'll go through a spell of 3 or 4 good games, then be really, really poor, then have 1 good game, 4 bad games, and then whenever a new manager comes in, he rolls his sleeves up, and that's a bit that frustrates us. He can do it. And he has got the ability. He has got the ability to make a pass that not many, in fact, no one else in the squad can do. And that's why I believe people get on his back, because it is a lackadaisical attitude. But at the moment, his attitude's spot on, and he's putting the graft in. And if Eddie Howe and his team have managed to get Joe Linton and John Joe Shelby busting the gut for us, then we are going in the right direction. And I really can't say anything but 3 points today. And I'm not going to make a 3-1 prediction because it's obviously bad luck. So I won't make that as a prediction. Even though I've bet it, I won't make that as my prediction.
Plenty of people have in the chat. 3-1,
Yeah.
4-0. I've seen a few. Okay. The big question is, did Mitch remember to take his lucky dice to work?
Hey.
Yes. Here we go then. Predictions, lads.
Oh, it's come up 2-1.
That's my prediction. That's my prediction. 2-1 to Newcastle. Okay, Alwaleed, prediction, please.
Well, I wish if you didn't say please, because I didn't want to predict. But I can say, I didn't think about, could we say, 2-1. I'm with 2-1. Newcastle.
2-1 as well. Okay, Stu Penman, over to you.
I'd say 2-0 with Maximin getting the first goal and Wilson getting the second. We'll keep a clean sheet for the first time and a win.
Fantastic. We will have a Middle East show next week because Newcastle play Leicester on Sunday next week. Yeah. So we'll have one next Saturday to look ahead to the Leicester game. Enjoy it, lads, wherever you watch it. Alwaleed, I hope the meeting with all those supporters goes well, and I hope you enjoy the match. Take care, lads. See you next week.
Good luck.
Cheers, everyone.
critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again.